Hey there, welcome to Jet Setting with Jackie. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Jackie, and if you're returning, thank you for coming back to see me. In this week's video, I will be talking about looking for a car to purchase in Jamaica. If this is of interest to you, stick around and we'll get right into it. Right, so we're going to talk about my journey to finding Pearly. Before I got to Jamaica, I had a budget of about, I wanted to say $16,000 to $18,000 that I wanted to spend on a vehicle. I kind of thought that I wanted to get a Mark X, but then I heard some things like, yeah, that's probably not the best car for me. You get stopped by the police way too often, and I didn't want that hassle. When I arrived in Jamaica, I rented a car. That's something that I've been doing since 2010, so I'm 100% confident driving in Jamaica. Now, if you've never driven here before, or if you are a newbie to Jamaica, I would say let someone else drive you first. Drive with someone who lives here or has been here, just so you can understand what it's like to be on the road in Jamaica. Driving here is not for the faint of heart. The rules of the road are not the same as it is anywhere else that I've driven, so it might be good to experience what it's like on the road before you decide to just buy a car. I figured I would find a car maybe in a week or two, so I think I rented the car for 2 weeks. I thought that that would be enough time. However, that did not turn out to be the case. It ended up taking me a little over 3 weeks before I was able to get Pearly. I started off my car hunting journey by just going to some car lots in Kingston. Took the day off work, hopped in a car, drove up to Kingston, and went to visit some car lots. Taking the day to go up there didn't seem like a bad idea because I just didn't know exactly what I would find. After checking out several lots, I realized that my budget was probably a little bit too low. I did check out the Toyota dealership and the Honda dealership while I was in Kingston, and I entertained the idea a little bit of maybe getting a brand new vehicle until I realized what the price tag was. I decided I wanted to look at, an SUV, maybe a CRV or a RAV4. At the dealership, I kind of had a bit of sticker shock. I did not realize how expensive those vehicles were in Jamaica. 2021 RAV4 or CRV were both somewhere between 7 and 8 million Jamaican dollars. And I'll calculate the equivalent of what that is in USD. Compared to the US, I had just purchased a CRV, this one, and I paid 25 or 26,000 US dollars. I realized my $18,000 budget was not going to get me not even close to what I wanted. So I stopped looking at the dealerships and I went online to do some searches. So I checked out jacars.net. I also looked on Facebook Marketplace, and I also used JA Classifieds online, the same place I used when I was looking for rentals. They also have automobiles on there as well. In my online searches, I was able to locate quite a few vehicles that I was interested in. The majority of them ended up being either in Mandeville or actually close to me. One of the vehicles was a Mark X, which I know I said I really didn't want. But at that point, I was already 2 weeks into my rental, At that point, I had extended my rental another week and I needed to find something. So I entertained the idea of looking at the Mark X just in case it was priced in a range that I was okay with. And even if I ended up selling it back, I would need a vehicle right away. I did go and test drive it. Car wasn't bad. I didn't like the price. I think it was somewhere around 3.5 million. So that was a no-go for me. I knew I could get a used CRV for maybe like 4.5 to 5. So getting a car for 3.5, I wasn't really interested in. My uncle and I decided to drive up to Mandeville and check out the vehicles that I liked from my online search. We checked out the CRVs that I'd found online and I'd listed as one of the vehicles that I wanted to check out, but none of them really did it for me. However, when we got to Griffiths Motors, they had several vehicles on their lot, but whatever it was, it's just whenever I saw Pearly, I knew that that was it. I saw her, I loved it, I just knew. Out of all the cars on the lot, that was the only one that I was like, oh yes, that's it. That's the one I want. It was beautiful. I'm not a big fan of white vehicles, but she was perfect. She was nice, clean. It was newly imported. I got her. Can't wait. First car in Jamaica. I would be the first one in Jamaica to own her. Yeah, Pearly was the one. So I went on inside and started the buying process. And I know this is a little crazy to think, but in my brain, coming from the US, when you go into a dealership there, if you have all your ducks in a row like you're supposed to, you walk out with your vehicle. So in my mind, I'm like, all right, perfect. I'm gonna come up here, I'm gonna get this car and I'm good. No, not so in Jamaica. Of course, there is a process to go through when you purchase a vehicle in Jamaica. First thing I realized was you don't just show up to the dealership, buy the car and drive away. No. So what I had to do was, once I decided that Pearly was the vehicle that I wanted, I placed the deposit on the vehicle. Bank and logistics, I wasn't able to transfer all of the funds to pay for the car, so I had to put a portion of it down and leave the vehicle there. Now, over the next few days, I had to get insurance situated for the vehicle. I also had to pay the final balance on the vehicle. Once I paid the final balance, I had my insurance secured. I had two options. I either could drive back up to Mandeville to complete the rest of the paperwork and then possibly get the vehicle that day by going to the tax office up there, or I could have them send the paperwork to me and I complete the registration, get the tags, and then come and pick up the vehicle. So instead of having to drive back to Mandeville to do all of that, I have them send me the paperwork so that I could get it done. Overall, the buying experience was not what I had expected initially, just knowing what it was like to buy a vehicle in the US. However, it wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be. The worst parts of it was just having to go to the insurance company to get insurance, then take that paperwork with me to the tax office, getting the tax office to process their paperwork, and then having to drive back to Mandeville a second time to pick up the vehicle. Outside of that, everything was smooth. Just some things that I realized from my buying experience. If you are coming from the US or another country, just bear in mind that the cost of a vehicle in Jamaica is going to be more expensive than where you're coming from, as Jamaica does not manufacture vehicles. So a vehicle on the island has been imported, which means that whoever imported it paid the taxes on it, which they end up passing on to you. So be prepared to pay more for a vehicle than you would in whatever country you may be coming from. Another thing to keep in mind is that you can bring your vehicle from overseas. That in itself is a whole different process. However, once I realized how expensive it is to import vehicles into Jamaica, I kind of scratched that idea. Now, if you are a returning resident and you are bringing your vehicle that you currently own and want to bring it to Jamaica, you can do that and you will get concession on that vehicle. However, when I came here, I was not a returning resident as yet, so I was not able to get a concession on a vehicle, which would mean that I would have to pay the full duty to import that vehicle. So if you don't mind paying that extra cost to import your vehicle, that is an option. You do not have to buy your vehicle here. Of course, there are certain rules that the vehicle must fall under in order for it to be okay to import into the country. So you'll have to do a bit of research in order to determine if your vehicle that you're trying to import fits into that category. Be mindful of all the things that you'll have to do, whether it's getting a fitness done on the vehicle, taking all of those paperwork to the different tax office or insurance office to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row when you register your vehicle here. The one thing that I do like is the fact that I feel like insurance is a little bit cheaper for me here in Jamaica versus what it is in Florida. I know Florida does have pretty high insurance charges, so for me that feels like a little bit of a break, but for someone else who comes out here, it might be a bit more expensive. Hopefully it's not. I'm not sure if that's a normal thing or not, but they charge you for insurance in a year span versus in the US where it's 6 months. That every 6 months your insurance renews. In Jamaica, your insurance renews yearly. I hope you enjoyed watching what my experience was like looking for a car to purchase in Jamaica. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're interested in content like this, please hit that subscribe button. And if you would like to know when I've posted another video, make sure you hit that notification bell. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.